Good morning, viewers, and welcome to Ways Breakfast. Hashtag What Are You Saying? It's a beautiful Friday morning, and as we like to call it here, it's Tech Friday today because we're going to be delving into the tech world and explore tech innovations and trending things in that space. Of course, I'm your girl. My name is Oluchi Omenka. I'll be your host for today, and I have with me the ladies in the house. Hello.
Hi, how are
That's
you?
giving royal, royal handshake.
This is the signature hand.
How are we doing this morning?
I'm good. It's Friday. I think
First
I
off, I
love
have to
Fridays.
compliment your fit, Shola.
Stop it.
Do you have any Owambe, stuff going on
I think
today?
it's just her preparing for the weekend.
Yeah, you can say that again. Although I do not have any plans for the weekend, but at least let me look it a bit.
I love this. I really
Fridays.
love it. How about you, God's Beauty? How are you doing today?
I'm okay.
You
Thank you.
okay?
I
As
mean,
always.
It's blue.
It's all right. Are you ready for today's topic?
sure, why
Yeah.
not?
Another tech expo, right? As per we're not Texas now, we can still learn in the tech space.
Yeah.
It's all right.
I love the fact that last week we learned something.
A
I
lot.
took it home and it was
I know,
really
right? And
nice.
today is going to be
Right.
that way again. All right, viewers, we're going to take a short break now. When we return, we'll look through the headlines across the Nigerian newspapers. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, viewers. Yes, we're going to look through the Nigerian headlines right now on the Nigerian newspaper. And do not forget that you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on all social media platforms to be part of the conversation, drop a comment, send a message to our WhatsApp number. We'll be more than eager to respond to every one of them. So starting with, we would be looking at the Punch newspaper. The major headline says, 10 states battling flooding, 21 others at risk, federal government warns. Government fears cholera may worsen as Lagos, Abuja, others count losses. Flooding kills pupil. Rivers to overflow July. Ondo, Kaduna, 17 others to be affected. Flood sacks to Ogun communities. Above the major headline, we see Labour heads for victory in UK exit poll. And NNPC disagrees as report puts petrol debt at $6 billion. Nigeria to host $5 billion African Energy Bank. And federal government plans 2 trillion naira economic revival scheme inaugurates council. Below the major headlines, we see NPA launches tugboats to boost port operation, and SEC mandated Nigeria CEO local office for crypto firms. Driver backs 12 years jail for killing LASMA officer. And Edo APC jubilates, PDP urges calm as court nullifies Ighodalo's candidacy. And that's all we have for the Punch newspaper. And just like yesterday, we saw the flood as the major headline again. And today, still the same, but just a bit different. It says that it's about spreading to other states, right? So I read the full story. YouthServe explained that the annual flood outlook by the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency, released in April, had predicted that 148 local government areas in 31 states fell within the high flood risk areas. So the affected states include Adamawa, Akwa Ibom, Anambra, Bauchi, Bayelsa, Benue, Borno, Cross River, Delta, Ebonyi, Edo, Imo, Jigawa, Kaduna, Kano, Katsina, and Kebbi. And the minister warned that cholera might spread further in Nigeria due to the flooding. This doesn't really sound like a good news, and sadly, I'm starting on this note, but that's what's on the major, headlines for this morning. So we were thinking it's just a Lagos-Ogun State thing, and now it's spreading to other states, and it's been predicted, actually. Yes. But there's a very subtle warning that's coming that cholera might spread, so it's our duty and responsibility to be more careful at this time again, as we hope for the best.
Well, before I go to the Vanguard newspaper, I really do not appreciate the fact that it happened last year and they had to build a lot of, what do they call this?
Drainage?
IDP camps for people in Delta. Okay. And now it's happening again. I mean, if it happened last year, then we should have taken precautionary measures to avoid it this year or to reduce it. But Russia?
We don't know what's happening concerning that.
Moving straight to the pages of the Vanguard newspaper, there are lots of headlines here, and the first one here states, the major headline here states, 21 local government areas in 10 states, FCT submerged in flood, says federal government. Right under it says no release of water from dams. Cameroon's Lagdo Dam wants state local government to safeguard lives of Nigerians. The top corner of the Vanguard newspaper says this story, federal government's debt to petrol imports exceed 9.1 trillion naira. And from Edo Guba polls, PDP court wrestle over Igodaho's candidacy. Beside it, a court voids sack of Rivers Assembly Speaker Amawule, 24 others. Beside it, Lagos 2,000 retirees receive 4.5 billion naira benefits. And from the educational sector, JAMB uncovers 3,000 fake graduates. And from insecurity challenges, federal government working seriously to secure ungoverned spaces, says NSA. And that are the stories, and those are the stories on the Vanguard newspaper. But the story that piqued my interest is that one coming from the educational sector, as JAMB uncovers 3,000 fake graduates. Enrique, I will read a quick details of the story.
Okay.
The Joint Admission and Matriculation Board has uncovered 3,000 fake graduates who never set foot within the four walls of classroom. The board also decried the issue of illegal admissions by some institutions, which it said has remained a source of embarrassment to the country. The registrar, Prof. Ishak Oloyede, made this known in a report published in the board's bulletin, which was obtained by newsmen in Abuja. According to the bulletin, Oloyede disclosed that with the leadership of the Committee of Pro-Chancellors of State Universities, that some graduates had never entered the four walls of a university and has graduated.
This deserves a very ridiculous laughter.
This is the second time we haven't talking about people buying fake results, but now it's not even fake results. This time is you not
Graduating without being in school.
Without being in school, like you've not been to the four walls of a school and you later graduated. Yes, I understand, but I feel like you missed the entire fun that comes to university life, because I really do not know, but they should really look to it. And I appreciate the fact that they had a meeting with pro-chancellors of state universities, so I think they'll be more stringent, and then they'll do more database and fish out, remove the shaft from the wheat.
All right, so flying over, we're taking the New York Times newspaper. Right side of the newspaper has Biden weighing future as Trump's lead groups in fallout from debate. Beneath that, on all sides, most doubt incumbent ability to govern. Next to that, President tells allies the next few days will be critical. Below the newspaper, we have the below the President Biden picture on the newspaper, we have family losses as it's women in India's stampede. 3 generations die at gathering of guru who offered hope call. Next to that, no star quality, but he favored. In Britain, Stampede Yang's labor to the center. Bottom of the newspaper, we have old context, go slow. Save whales win a prize. California ships reduce every year, and the waters of the speed voluntarily. All right, the last headline on the newspaper has, looking at risk and reward of switching parties nominee, gambling on bringing energy, not the vision. So the headline that particularly intrigues me is the headline, that's the last headline, that says, looking at risk and rewards of switching party nominees. So with President Biden under pressure to abandon his re-election bid, the Democratic Party faces unprecedented challenges. Now, the party is gripping with the prospect of replacing Biden less than 2 months before the convention. Then a situation no presumptive nominee has encountered this late in the process. Key concerns include doubt that Biden's mentor and his ability to defeat former President Donald Trump and his fitness for another term. So, quick one, right? What's really going here is the fact that, you know, the election is coming closer, and somehow people are backing up Trump more than Biden. So Biden's party, that's Democratic Party, are now thinking, okay, what best do they do in order for them to win Trump? If they say they should take Biden down and put in someone else, how sure are they that that person that they want to bring in would have the chance, you know, with Trump? So they are just in a very, how do I put it, in a perplexed manner, in a perplexed situation where they don't know which to pick from. Do they just go in with Biden? Because looking at the statistics and the followership Trump has, he's already beaten Biden already. So if they take Biden out and they put in new person, how sure are they? So they're just in that
By followership,
Biden.
what platform do you mean? Do you mean social media or
No.
campaign?
Campaign, yeah.
Because I think I saw something on social media that said that Trump opened an account, and then in like 3 days or so, he had gotten a lot of followers compared to what Biden had. It was very insignificant to me anyway, but I was wondering, is he a content creator now? But that's all we have, right, for the headline news this morning. So like we earlier said, today's topic is going to be centered around the tech space. You must have been hearing, tech health, right? Different words around tech health. We are going to be diving into understand that better today. We have a guest that will be joining us. And like I said again, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Upgrade TV. Turn on your notifications, drop a comment, send a message to our WhatsApp, and we will be glad to have you join us on this conversation. Take a short break now. When we return, we'll introduce our guest. Stay with us.
So from a sovereignty perspective, from a, what I call it, a PR perspective, a brand image perspective, not to mention the security challenges, the modes of transportation of presidents is important. So the question is not whether they should have a jet. Yes, they should have a jet. If my president turned up tomorrow on a local flight, I would be embarrassed. So, yes, we should have a private jet. The problem is, as it exists today, we already have a fleet. There were planes before, right? So the question is about needing to purchase a new one, right? And I keep saying that the management of the image of this administration is one that could be better, could be handled better, right? When we want to get things done, they've shown us, this administration has shown us that they will get it done. It took one speech to remove fuel subsidy. It did not take them how long to pass new national anthem, right? So you keep validating the perspective that you are disconnected from the reality of your citizens, and that is a problem.
Welcome back, viewers. It's still Ray's Breakfast. Hashtag what are you saying? So like I said earlier, today's topic is on the rise of health and wellness tech. And we have a guest who is joining us on the show today to further shed light on this particular topic. His name is Dayo Awobeku. Dayo is a software engineer with 4 years of experience and a background in product design and a former healthcare professional. He has dedicated his career to building products that look amazing, are inclusive, user-friendly, and work seamlessly. His passion for this craft has driven him to open source projects, write technical articles, and mentor aspiring developers. These initiatives show his commitment to the developer community and his ability to build practical tools that improves people's life through quality software. Dayo currently works at Prime Bridge Health, a telemedicine platform that allows Africans book consultation and connect with doctors within minutes from their comfort zone. Today, we're diving into the exciting world of health and wellness technology, and we have Mr. Dayo Awobeku. Make some noise, people.
Thank you. Good
How are you
morning.
doing this morning?
I'm doing very well.
It's good to have you. for his
Shall we
bio.
do like this?
There's this humility that I always say that comes when people hear their bio. They act like it's not really me
I
that
know,
is
right?
there. Whereas see people wrote it, but that's fine. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
It's good
thank
to have you on our show and have you
Same here.
discuss on health and wellness tech. So the term health and wellness tech, telehealth, is like a buzzword that is everywhere. And for those who might not be familiar with it, can you explain what telehealth is and how it has evolved over the years? Just
All right. First of all, thank you for having me here.
You're
It's a
welcome.
privilege. When you talk about telehealth, right, it comes from the word tele, right, and television. You have other words where you have like telepathically, and stuff like that. Tele just means something that is not present, something that it's distant away, right? So when you say telehealth, you're referring to how to, you're talking about health without the doctor, without the physician being present physically. So today, for example, you talk about tools like the mobile phones, like a laptop, like a video screen, and stuff like that. Over the years, telehealth dates as far back as the 18th century, actually, when the mobile phones or the telephones at the time were first invented by Graham Bell.
Okay.
And after the invention of the telephones, some scientists were like, why not take advantage of this invention? And instead of, allowing the patients to flood into our hospitals, why not allow some of them make some phone calls, when they have issues and they can just reach out to us via the telephones. And over the years, that's evolved from telephones. Today, for example, we have smartphones, we have smart watches, we have mobile applications, web applications, and all of that. So it just shows you how much the industry is evolving, has evolved over the years and is still evolving from, telephones to, for example, in the 1900s, there was the University of Nebraska had this two-way television system where they wanted their students to be able to see results of their patients and then, interact with them, right? And we've come all that way, right? And now we have, other means of, telehealth. For example, like I mentioned, mobile phones, computers, laptops, and stuff like that. So it has evolved by a lot, and it's still evolving, right? For example, it's estimated that by 2026, which is just in 2 years' time,
2 years.
yeah, that the telehealth industry will be worth over $200 billion US dollars. Right, so that's a lot.
That's fantastic.
Comparing, mobile just telephones, and then now it's $1 billion industry. So there's so much going on. There's so much in terms of innovation. There's so much, resources poured into the system, and it's still growing, and I'm glad to be part of it.
Oh, beautiful.
So interesting to hear. I think I like how we grew from the 18s down to what we have right now. So now, since the entire thing started, since you talked about smartwatches, some applications online, phones, and all of that, we understand that some still prefer one-on-one conversation with their doctors. Now, can you give us a statistics or a ratio of, okay, there should be a track record. Okay, then it was 10%. Right now, it's 50%. Can you compare the statistics between people that still goes to the hospital and people that make use of this telehealth thing?
Okay. I think in terms of that, right, I think when COVID happened, that statistics changed by a lot. So it was probably here, and then when COVID happened, here. So, and the reason is simple. When COVID happened, there was lockdown, right? In fact, at the time, I was working at Laseth, and we stopped attending to patients that were not emergencies. So if you had a cough, if you had a headache, we'll just tell you to go home, please. We're not attending to you. So it was that serious, right? We're not taking any patients that were not emergencies, right? So when you consider that, right, and you look at how, COVID changed a lot of things, I was telling someone the other day that one of my friends, for example, was one of the first people who caught COVID in the country. He was working at Luth at the time, right? So the health workers were in the forefront of a lot of these, things that were going on at the time. So, we had to reduce physical visits to the hospital. And because of that, telehealth increased by a lot. So people had to be calling their doctors. People had to be scheduling, virtual consultations with their doctor because I'm sorry, but we would not just attend to you. You know, we're also trying to protect ourselves. You know, for example, we lost a nurse at Lasut at the time. Some of our doctors tested positive for COVID. You know, so there was so much fear in the atmosphere. There was so much going on, and we also had to protect ourselves. So I'd say that, you know, telehealth was probably going at just a regular pace. But then when COVID happened, it exponentially increased. So all over the world right now, you know, telehealth has skyrocketed to like a really high number. In Nigeria, we're still increasing in that sense because, you know, usually, especially in like developing countries, we're usually slower to, you know, to catch up to like new technologies and stuff like that. But again, I'm optimistic, and I believe that in the next few years, decades, as the case may be, we'll eventually catch up.
So I like your excitement when you come to, I mean, the fact that we're speaking on this whole tech thing and bringing it to health, into the health sector, right? So I also hear you when you said you guys lost a few persons due to the whole COVID-19 and how you guys had to tell a lot of people to go back and stay and probably have the call in and we'll just send you prescription. Now, I was speaking to a friend of mine. She's pregnant, so she's expecting and all of that. And I remember her having we were having a conversation, and she's like, the thing is, she's feeling pain on somewhere around her tummy, something around pregnancy, right? And she's like, okay, so I don't even know, because she was just complaining about the fact that she wanted to reach out to a doctor through app and all of that, and they just sent prescription. So she was just angry that instead of the person to even talk, the person cannot even tell me sorry, or the person cannot say anything. They just send me a prescription and want me to take drugs. I'm feeling pain and all of those things, right? So the question now is, how do we balance it? In as much as I understand your aspect of, okay, we need some persons to stay at home and just do the calling. If you want cough, we just tell you, okay, probably take Procode and all of those things. I feel like the bond between patients and doctors still need to be, you know, we still need to have that. So how do we balance it?
That's a very good question. Again, I'll go back to COVID. You know, during COVID, I took a course from the University of Johns Hopkins, and it was something around how to interact with people during COVID, you know, how to talk to them. Because, like I said, there was a lot of fear in the atmosphere. If you had COVID during the lockdown, your heart was probably, like, out of you. Like, you're really scared. You thought you were going to die. You know, it was that bad, you know. So, and in the course, one of the things that they emphasized the most was empathy. You cannot just talk to somebody and say, well, okay, you have COVID, I'm sorry about that, take this drug and take that drug, but you have to listen to them. And so I think the balance is, I feel like, in as much as, you know, we're creating awareness for telehealth, I feel like doctors, healthcare professionals also need to be aware. They also need to be trained in that sense, because in as much as, you know, we're talking about this thing, many people don't know about it, right? And imagine telling a doctor who's been practicing for, let's say, 30 years, and then you just tell him, okay, this is a computer, we want you to attend to your patients. But you're like, why are you glad? I'm not getting... Exactly. Yes. You know, so, I mean, I think the balance is training them, right? It doesn't matter how much experience you have. I believe that the healthcare professionals who fail to move on with this wave would eventually be left behind.
Definitely.
You know, so it's more of you just have to, you know, and like I said, I feel that one of the things with, you know, this telehealth and the virtual consultations is, personally, I feel it's supposed to help both parties, because this time around, usually when you go to a hospital, because like I said, I've worked in several hospitals, when you go to a hospital, you want to see a doctor, you first of all wait in line. That probably take like the whole day. When you eventually see a doctor, the doctor will probably see you for like 10 minutes. Out of that 10 minutes, they're checking you, they're touching you, they're looking at you. You're probably not saying anything. Maybe if you talk, maybe just 1 minute out of the whole conversation. All they are doing is they're just checking. Meanwhile, if it's a virtual consultation, you don't have that luxury. I can't touch you on your phone, like over the phone. So I have to listen. And by listening, it's empathy. I'm listening to you explain things to me. I don't have a choice at that point, because it's what you say that I'm going to use, right? On the other hand, if it was, like I said, if it was a physical visit, right, then you had the option of all of that. But again, I feel like there's just a lot of education that needs to happen. You know, for example, right now, almost 80% of physicians still believe that there are some conditions that you cannot diagnose without like a physical examination. You know, so if numbers are that high, then it shows that we still have like quite a long way to go, you know. But again, I'm still positive, and like I said, so to answer your question, I think, you know, people just need to be educated, both parties, both the patients and the healthcare professionals alike.
It's beautiful that you are very pro telehealth because you're in the industry. I mean, you have to hype your industry more than anybody would. But even listening with everything that you've said, I'm thinking of my own personal experience, and it's not tallying with the whole empathy thing. So I was sick and I went to the hospital, and so the doctors were around quite all right, but they still attended to me via calls and all of that. And somehow I felt very dissatisfied. And I felt like, you really don't understand what I'm saying, sir. Do you understand that kind of thing? And I don't know, I feel like the doctor-patient relationship is just like every other relationship that needs that physical touch. I need a doctor to look at my face to see how I'm grumbling, to touch me and see how I'm hot, and then administer things properly. So I'm a bit worried about the effectiveness of telehealth. How effective is it? And you've given us a bit of statistical facts and all of that. Can you tell us a bit of how effective it has been with helping patients have better health?
Okay, good question. You said you feel like it would be better if, you know, you were there
Yes,
with the
that
doctor.
physical touch. Let me hear your voice. Let me see how caring you are. Do you
Yeah.
understand? Not is your stomach paining you.
No, seriously, honestly.
Where do you feel pain in your head? You know, it's very distant for me. What do you
Yeah, I totally get the question. During COVID, did you happen to fall sick at all?
Grace of God. Maybe I did, but not COVID,
Okay.
Corona.
And did you go to the hospital?
To the hospital. Now I went to the pharmacy. You know, pharmacy is
Okay,
another
pharmacies are
option that
still
we have.
open.
Just get one malaria drug and you're quite all right.
All right, cool. Well, I mean, that's another option. But for people who do not necessarily have that option and they have to go to the hospital, again, like I said, many hospitals were shut down. Many private hospitals completely shut down. In fact, most hospitals that were running were probably just government hospitals, like Interlude and a few others. Every other hospital shut down, right? So people really did not have that luxury, right? And so that was why we had to sort of push this narrative, right? You have to call your doctors. You have to schedule consultations with them. I understand that, you know, sometimes phone conversations, because realistically, you know, there are around 35 to like 55,000 doctors in Nigeria. Nigeria has a population of 220 million people. If you do the math, that's like 4 doctors to 10,000 people. That's a lot. I'm sorry, but that's a lot. So if I have to attend to, let's say I have to attend to 50 patients in a day, and I'm calling you via phone, do you think I'm going to take 20 minutes to speak to you via the phone? No, I have like several other people that I have to attend to. Even if it was, let's even assume all of the patients were via phone calls or video consultations and stuff. But because the numbers are a lot, I won't be able to dedicate so much attention to it. And that's another problem, because many doctors are leaving the country, right? As soon as they finish med school, the next thing is they're writing one exam, writing another exam, and they're planning to leave the country. So I think that's another key issue and it's not something that it's within our control, to be honest. And that's why I said that Nigeria still has like quite a way to go when it comes to telehealth, because we don't even have the numbers. And one reason why we really need to embrace it ASAP is because the numbers keep decreasing, right? And as the numbers keep decreasing, that means we do not have enough doctors in the hospitals, right? That means when the patients go to the hospital, let's say on average you spend 2 hours in the hospital, on average. Most times, usually more than that. You go to the hospital, you have to wait. You wait for a while before the doctor eventually sees you, you know. And so that's when you wait for quite a while, right? Now, let's assume you have, like I said, you have like 50 other patients on the queue waiting to attend to you. You have to attend to them. Eventually, you're going to burn out. And burnout is one of the major things that most doctors face in this country, because they work so much. They work a lot. You know, I've seen it firsthand, like doctors who work nights, day, several
Night
days
shift,
in a
day
row,
shifts.
and stuff like that. And when they eventually have a break, it's probably like half day or one day, and they're back to the same schedule. And they're not being paid enough, if we're being honest. The average doctor is probably earning like 250, 300K. I'm sorry, but that's not enough to take care of the whole psychological, you know, damage and all of that, you know. So I think that embracing telehealth as time proceeds it won't even be an option, because you wouldn't even have a choice, you know, especially in this country, because the numbers keep decreasing. If I'm a doctor, for example, and I have to attend to, like I said, 50 patients in a day, all right, I won't take as much time as if I had maybe 10 patients, physical 10 patients, and then I had to call the others, right? So I think that's just the kind of balance, right? Because we do not have the numbers, right? So we have to take advantage of technology, right? We have to take advantage. For example, let me paint this scenario. Let's assume someone goes to the hospital, he has high blood pressure, or he doesn't know, he just goes to the hospital, and then they test him, say, okay, you have high blood pressure. And then the doctor says, okay, come back, or they give him some medication and say, okay, come back in like a month, and then test you again and stuff like that. That's one scenario. Another scenario, you go to the hospital, the doctor tests you, say you have high blood pressure. And doctor says, okay, in the meantime, we're not going to give you any medications. However, go to the Play Store, download this application. It will help you monitor how you eat. It will help you monitor your nutrition. Download this other application. It will help you monitor your sleep. Download this other application. It will help you monitor how you live, your lifestyle, and stuff like that. Which of the two would you think would have like a better feedback by the time they come back? I think it would be the second, because there are many diseases and many conditions that it's just your lifestyle, if you're being honest. If you live right, if you sleep well, if you eat well, you'll be fine.
Okay, so Dayo, you've spoken well so far, and I'd like to ask more, I don't say too personal, but a bit personal. Yes, you said something the other time that you're not a doctor, but you work in LASUT, you work in Los. So a normal average perspective is, if you're not a doctor, you're either maybe anesthesia department or maybe laboratory or one or two things. Yeah. What did you like study? I want to talk about the professional landscape. What did you like study? How did you like find the job at hospitals? How did you like pitch yourself? I really need to understand, because I'm very sure some viewers are listening like, okay, how is it work in the hospital? What does it do? What's the name of your job in the hospital, right? I'm curious to know. And then speaking of telehealth, in that lawsuit, I've been there a couple times. And I know that they still use paper and pen.
Of course.
They are giant, everybody still uses paper and pen. So I feel like they should start. There's system. They don't have system in front of them, but they end up not using it. Is it that they want to alter the result? Is it that they want to change our names? Is it that they want to, we understand, okay, you need to write names on our, what's it called, our cards, right? Our dates and all of that. But why is that is not, we are not starting to see, or maybe as at the last time I was there, and be able to see anything tech in the entire naked house.
You know what? I want you to hold your thoughts on her answers, and we're going to take that immediately we return from this short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back shortly. All right, welcome back, viewers. Still on the topic of telehealth, Mr. Dayo would be helping us. Mr. Dayo, I need to learn to pronounce Yoruba names, right? Mr. Dayo will be helping us, give further light to the question that Shola asked about the professional landscape of telehealth.
Okay. So I studied medical laboratory science in the University of Ibadan, MLS. And then, so after school, like with many professional medical courses, you have to intern for a year before you serve. And so I interned at LASUT, right? I wrote the exam, and then I knew somebody, I got into LASUT. So not LASUT, it was my friend who worked at LUTH. After LASUT, as after my internship, I went on to work at another private hospital at Oshodi, Solo. And so it was during that time that I really got into like the tech space and, got into tech, software engineering, product design. And so right now I'm just combining both. Right? I'm working primarily as a software engineer, but because I have a healthcare background, I just juxtapose both words.
I've been curious. Okay, what did you like study in Nigerian university, or maybe okay? Yes, you talked about John Hopkins. I'm like, okay, that's like one of the top medical schools. So did you like go there to study? Well, telehealth. So you're here to answer the second question
Okay.
of sorry,
House.
the entire document. It starts from there, right? We understand that an average Nigerian right now uses an Apple Watch. We use an iPhone. We know when to. We calculate our steps. We do just maybe not everybody, but an average person. Why is it that it's not practical in the hospitals? We still use pen and papers. We still use cards.
Yeah. Well, I'll just answer based on my perspective. I know that some of these things are out of our own view. But to be fair, most of these people who are in the hospital, most of them are very old. If you go to any department, the first person that'll probably attend to you, maybe the receptionist, probably someone that is like 50 or 60, all those older people. And for some reason, they're usually just, when you see technology, like,
Younger ones are traveling out.
Okay, so, and they usually just have this aversion towards anything like
Technology.
technology and stuff. So that's one perspective. Another perspective is, how do I say this? Please don't quote me. But, there's this idea of ghost workers. For example, you probably have heard it, someone has left the place, it still gets paid. For example, that's just a very basic example. But in places like hospitals, like government, especially government, parastatals, there's a lot of that going on where people just, because it's paper, like nobody can, you can use Tipex and just change something, like nobody really knew. If it was computer, for example, once you type it in, it's there, like we can all see it. But if it's on paper, I can keep, like when I left last week, for example, I was still earning, not my salary, but I was still being paid. I still got like, maybe like 1 or 2 months of my, what they call the allowance then. And that's because they had not removed my name from the record here. So imagine in a case where someone just, and there are always loopholes, right? There are always loopholes. I know people who I was earning more than them and they were driving jeeps in the same hospital. And so when
We will talk about embezzlement in the health sector.
yeah, so it's not very, I don't want to say practical right now, because maybe if there's a new CMD in Lasut, and
What would CMD mean?
Chief Medical Director.
Oh, okay.
It's like how you say president of the nation,
Alright,
so it's like the general. So if maybe there's a new CMD who is maybe more open to technology, and even that will still take time. It will still take time for people to accept, this, thing, because they are used to a certain pattern, and people don't like change. So when you come and say, okay, we want to do this a different way, they will definitely react to it. So it's an issue, definitely it's an issue, because, like I said, just ghost worker is just one of the several other things I even saw while I was at Lasut, So honestly, I don't think that might change anytime soon, to be honest. But like I said, I believe that maybe if there's someone else who comes in, maybe we have another president, I don't know, or someone else who is in more like a higher authority, and the person is more open to things like that. But right now, I do not see, people just switching to computer. I do not see it happening right now.
Okay, so let's talk a bit on this whole tech thing, right? To be honest, I'm excited as you are. So let me give you a few things that I feel like once that start working, it will help the health sector. But this is me also asking that. I want to also hear your opinion on what part in the health sector do you think technology needs to come in? So this is the first one. I can't wait. Where I think there was a time where we had this... we're having a conversation, and I think Maje, sorry.
Yeah,
so
the wellness coach.
Thank you. So he was having a conversation with us, and he said something around the fact that his watch could check the kilometers at which he works, right? And that's very exciting because, for technology to be able to do that, now this is what I'm looking out for. If technology can be able to tell us when we have malaria and all of those small sickness, I think it's going to help us a lot better, right? Now, there's this other thing I saw on social media. I think a celebrity, his name is Nick Cano. He insured his testicles, right? And there are some people, I think, what's her name? I don't Nicki Minaj or so. She has insured her legs and all of those things. Now, this is to help them with their celebrity career. So just in case they have an issue with probably like a damage, or they have a serious injury with all of those body parts that they have insured in the future. So when they're not able to work, or they're able to get money or funds to like help them. I'm very sure you must have heard of that. So I want to hear what other part in the medical space or in the health sector now do you think technology needs to be there?
That's a very good question. The short answer is everywhere.
Okay.
The long answer is, like you mentioned, for example, malaria, right? There are studies now. For example, there are malaria kits that you can test malaria by yourself, and you do not have to go to the hospital. You probably just prick yourself. Yeah,
Okay.
they exist. They are malaria kits. This has actually been in existence for a while. You just prick yourself with a needle, put it on the strip, and you can check if you're positive or not.
Okay.
And right now, especially with the not invention per se, but with the with AI, with how AI is really booming and stuff like that. Now we have a lot more options. We have so many things. Like we have an entire landscape to focus on. For example, there's an arm of Google called Google Health, and it's just dedicated to finding solutions to some of those problems, doing research and stuff like that. And one of the researches they are currently conducting is on breast cancer. That means in this foreseeable future, and when I say future, because this is Google and they have a lot of resources, I'm not talking about 20 years, in the next few years, right? You'll be able to take your phone and then take pictures of your skin, take pictures of your breasts, and you'll be able to get feedback. Okay, this is a normal breast. This is something to be concerned about. Exactly, you get feedback in real time, and then you would know how to proceed. There are also other studies, in the radiological space, for example. When you go for scans, X-rays, ultrasounds, and stuff like that. Usually, sometimes it takes a while for them to get the results back to you. And now some AI models are being trained to do that, such that you go for a scan, rather than taking 2 weeks or a month to get your results, right there and then, the scan will be, passed to an AI, of some sort. And then you would know if you have to be concerned, right? The AI would let you know, okay, this is a normal scan. This is not the normal scan, and then pass it to the radiologist who then know what to do from there. So rather than waiting a month, you can already know your fate in a few minutes, right? So there's so much going on in the technological space right now because of AI, and everybody's AI. Most companies right now, if you want to start a company and you don't have AI something somewhere under the ground, I'm sorry, but
Can we really do?
You must have it.
So there's a lot of inventions going on. For example, there's another research going on, in vision, for example.
Okay.
Also, where you'll be able to take pictures of your eye, just with your phone, just take a picture of your eye, and then you would know if you should be concerned about anything in the foreseeable future. Maybe you need to get glasses and stuff like that. And one of the particular areas that research is going into is called diabetic retinopathy. So it's a condition that affects people who have diabetes, either type 1 or type 2. Usually when people have diabetes, as they proceed, if it's not adequately taken care of, it can lead to vision blurriness, and stuff like that, and eventually lead to blindness. So it's called, diabetic retinopathy. It affects the retina of the eye. So usually with technology, in the next few years, you'll be able to take pictures of your eye, and then you would know that, okay, you need to do something about this, right now, right? And that's where technology is going to. I can keep going on and on, but there's so much, so much research going on. And this helps everybody, not just the patients. It also helps the doctors, the physicians. For example, right now, I myself, I'm collaborating with a clinic in Australia, and I'm helping them to integrate AI, voice AI, recording AI, and stuff like that into their systems so that it could help with consultation. So if, as a doctor, I want to consult, usually when you do consultations, you have to take notes. But let's imagine I'm not doing that, and I'm just listening to you. Something is recording the conversation in the background. I can always play that again and again, So, there's just so much that, anything you can think of right now is probably achievable.
I love it.
I'd love us to take some comments that we have on our YouTube page. Firstly, I think you have a lot of fans. Maybe you should give a bit of shout out to your fans. So Obina said, I love this. Doyin said, this is so insightful. I'm learning a lot. Doyin also said, no wonder the doctors be cranky sometimes. Abimbola said, it's great to see someone talk about this. The topic had to be spoken about. I'm learning so much. But we have a question from Bukola. She said, how do tech illiterate, someone who is not conversant with technology, how do they move forward with this invention?
Okay. Let me see. How do I approach that? Okay. How do tech illiterate? I'm assuming this is a regular person, just not very aware about tech and stuff like that. Again, that's one of the reasons we're having this session, right? To educate you. Yeah, I feel like people just need to be more aware. You know, I understand that usually when something is new, it takes a while to receive it. For example, when this AI wave, came. For example, when ChatGPT was, are you familiar with ChatGPT?
Very familiar. Very familiar.
Exactly, we all use it, right? And if you think about when ChatGPT was created, it's not to 2 years, right? And look at how much, like, ChatGPT is part of my daily work. I use ChatGPT every single day. Every single day, right? I use Gemini every single day. Like, it has become, like, part and parcel of my workflow. When it was first released, I didn't jump on the trend. Like, I was like, what do you mean? Yeah. So this thing is just going to help me with my code and all of that. I was like, no, I don't think I want to use it. But when I tried it the first time, and I'm like, wow, this is really good. And so I think people just need to be exposed, honestly, and just get educated about some of these things, right?
You want us to miss when she mentioned the AI, I think it's AI you mentioned, and then how some technologies can help tell us, oh, you're feeling this and that. I think I've heard of some apps, right, that are called, is it online doctors? You can text, like you're chatting with a doctor that is online, maybe not a real doctor, but probably it's been programmed to do so, and then it responds to you and tell you, this is what you're feeling, this is what I think you should do. You're also a developer, so you work with these apps that are being developed, but as I would always be very, very cautious, look at ChatGPT, for example. There are some versions of it that if you type in some essays or look for some articles, it can give you the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is also peculiar with this online doctors app. As a developer, what are you putting in place? What are the structures to ensure that it's the right kind of information or diagnosis that I will get, and it's not trying to just put something fake out there for me? Using the whole ChatGPT illustration, for example.
Yeah, I think that's a very good question, because right now, at least, AI is not perfect. In fact, it's not close to perfect yet. I don't know if you guys saw this. There was this video AI thing where what's the name of this guy? Will Smith was eating spaghetti. I don't know if you saw. This was like last year, and the video was horrible. Now they made another video this year, and it was miles better, right? And that just shows you that AI is still improving, all right? I would not get diagnosed with AI. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to text. Yeah, no, I don't know about you, but I'm not going to take that risk right now. In fact, Google has this AI model that is still being trained. They call it MedPalm 2. Right? What the model is being trained on right now is there's this exam in the United States where you write if you want to become licensed as a medical professional, USMLE, something like that. Now, the exam is tough, one of the toughest exams in the world if you ever write any exam. Now, MedPalm 2 is being trained to answer those questions, right? And those questions there's a part of the exam where it's like an objective part, but it's not just like direct, like ABCD and stuff. Yeah, you have options, but at the same time, they are testing your reasoning. They are testing to see, okay, how well do you know what you were taught? And how well can you reason something that you have not seen before, something like that. Now, this model is being trained to answer those questions. And at the last I checked, MedPalm 2 was able to have like over 85% answers correctly. The average person who passes their exam has 60%. MedPalm 2 had 85.4%. That's a lot. That's like expert level. But it's not still there. It's not 100%. That means there will be 1 or 2 times that you will just hallucinate and just tell you have diabetes instead of malaria.
Right now, if you feel any type of pain, going to Google to check is like the worst thing to do.
Yeah.
If you should type to Google that, okay, I feel lumps, Google can start giving you very, very crazy examples.
Yeah.
And you start to think about, okay, and that's true, this week I feel bloated and all of that. Now, I want to talk about, I don't know if you know about Flu app. This is like an app to track menstrual and all of that. It gives notification at times. Okay, you might feel busted today, you might have heart rate today, okay, it's ovulation time. And not to sound, and not to advertise for any app right now, But is there like a app at the moment that works like Flow app? Because Flow app is like that go-to app for almost every lady. I do not think of checking or calculating my period. I just go to Flow. Okay, this is time I'm expecting my next period. And then on some smartwatches, I can check my respiration there. I can check my breathing. I can check my blood flow and all of that. So is there like any app at the moment that does, maybe not close to what Flow app does, but because for free Flow app, for free plan, thank you, for free plan, it does a lot. So is there like an app right now that does something close to it?
Right now, there are so many applications being developed by so many people. But I do not know a lot of them personally, so I won't be able to like recommend, okay, this app and that app. But what I do know, for example, at Prime Bridge Health, where I work, what we currently do is we provide the avenue to book appointments, right? So you go to the platform, you schedule an appointment at your own convenience, and then we just match you with a doctor, right? It could be virtual consultations. If you prefer to have a physical visit, we come to your house, come to your office, wherever you want us to come, and would, talk to you, whatever you want us to do to you, and stuff like that. So to answer your question, I do not really know about so many other apps. I do know about one in particular, though. It's called Sonia. And the reason I know about it is because I'm in communication with the founder on, it was released like a few weeks ago. It's an app, the company is in the US. And what the app does, it's particularly designed for mental health issues. So if you go to Play Store, download Sonia, right, you see how, and just have a play around with the app. It's like talking to a real therapist. Like you talk to, just like how you record voice notes and you send. So you just have a button, you click on it. You tell the therapist all your problems or whatever thing you're comfortable sharing. And it's almost like talking to a real person. The person listens. Like the person doesn't. You know how normally when you go to any AI, for example, ChatGPT, you just put in something, immediately you just get a response. But this particular model, and it's incredible because it takes a while. Like almost like a person is processing what you have said, then it now gives you a response, and it keeps asking you further questions, and you keep responding. It keeps asking you. When I used it, I was like, wow, this is really, really good. So there are so many other apps, like that I probably don't even know about, but. Like I said, because the space is really advancing, many people are taking advantage of, what's going on right now. And if you just make any Google search, maybe apps like Flow Health or any apps that could help my health, you see a lot of options. If you even go to the Play Store and just search for health, you see a lot of options as well. So I think it's just left to you. Just check reviews, if you can talk to somebody, and stuff like that.
All right, so we're going to take more comments and questions on our YouTube page. Thank you for dropping your comments and questions, and we're expecting more, honestly. That's why it's called What Are You Saying? I want to know what you're saying as well. All right, Olayinka Adekoya says, AI might be difficult to be introduced into the government sector. I think somebody mentioned it. It says they work with people who might not be willing to learn further, and that's not the space that we're in. Someone also says, what role do you think the government has in ensuring a growth or rapid adoption of health technology? That's for you, sir. This
was literally something I was thinking about before I came out because it's tricky, very tricky. In as much as I'm here advocating for telehealth and all of that, all of us, there's only so much that we can do. If the government is like,
we're not looking into that, right?
Yeah, there's really nothing that we can do as just mere mortals, So that's why I said the other time that maybe if, for example, in Lhasa, I give the example of Lhasa, maybe there was a new CMD, maybe if we have maybe like a new commissioner who is open to stuff like this. So exactly, but but right now, honestly, I they have a major part to play, and they are not currently doing that. I hope they will.
Did you guys pitch to them?
Well, I haven't. I don't know if any other person has.
Okay.
Maybe some organization or...
I'm sure they would have. But you know how it is with the government. For example, last year, we have all these health concerns and issues. And in the House of Reps, they wanted to pass a bill that medical professionals should have to work in the country for at least 5 years before they can. I'm like, how does that even make any sense? People are trying to leave. You're not paying them well. You're stressing them. They are being overworked. They have mental problems. They are depressed. And you're saying they should work for 5 years before they leave the country. Is that what is the pressing issue? Just like when they change the national anthem. So when you think about this country. This country, just joking, but this country is like that friend that you invite to a party and he's always late. Like, you just know that he's going to be late.
Jesus.
Exactly. So that's how we are in this country. Like that's why I said that maybe by the time we eventually catch up, maybe in a few decades,
A few decades. A decade is how many years again?
I think 10.
A decade is 10 years.
A few.
Hopefully, if everything goes according to plan. So yeah, I think that's just what I was saying.
All right, we're about wrapping up the show now. So I'd just like you to give us like a summary of everything that we've learned today on telehealth, what your advice is to people who are a bit skeptical about, the rise of this innovation. Yeah. What do you have to say to them?
All right. Again, thank you so much for the opportunity. So I started by explaining what telehealth is. Said that it's basically having like a consultation, a visit with a medical professional. However, it's not physical, so it's virtual consultation, stuff like that. And then we looked at AI. We looked at the innovations going on in the AI space. We said things about like breast cancer, diagnosis with your mobile phone, skin conditions, eye conditions, a lot of other things like that. And like we said, right, most people who would benefit from this now would be people who move on with it, right? If you decide not to, the technology will leave you behind, and really you do not have a choice. So just jump on the trend as soon as you can. Thank you.
There's a question here that I don't know if we can take. I don't know if you can answer it in 30 seconds.
Okay.
Sarah says, in a few years' time, what would the future of tech in health be? I'm excited to hear about it. She's a
AI.
futuristic person.
Okay. How can we tell tech bros to invest in creating tech apps?
Tech apps.
Yeah, we need more relatable apps that we can work with. You don't need
Okay.
the US type of app. We need the Nigerian condition type of apps.
Yeah.
How do we answer this in 30 seconds?
Yeah. Sorry, what was that question
So the
again?
person said the future of tech.
Okay, the future of tech. Okay, so let me try and combine both of them together. The future of tech, like I said, we mostly said a lot of things about AI. That's the future of tech. There'll be a lot of innovations incorporated with the AI technologies, and really that's the future. That's where we're heading to right now. Right, you just have to move on with the trend. Okay, so did I answer your own question? Okay. What was your question?
She's really waiting for these apps.
Okay, the apps. Well, I think, I don't really know, but I think that there's people are not very, very aware yet. And again, it has to do with interests. If I'm not interested in building for the healthcare, why would I?
Solving human problems.
Exactly. So that's why usually many people who are in the healthcare space, they're either doctors, former doctors, or former healthcare professionals, and stuff like that.
How about you go into the, that space?
That was my childhood dream. Oh, I changed that.
It's never too late.
Not too late.
All right, we need to go now. Thank you very much for staying with us. It's been a very insightful 1 hour as we've learned about telehealth and all of that. Next week, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Mondays to Friday, we'll be right here at the studio to let you know what we're saying. Have a great weekend. Bye.